Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, welcome to episode 95 of Hobby Quick Hits. And this is one of those episodes where it wasn't the originally scheduled episode. But when news breaks, things change. We have to, pivot and record a more current episode, if you will. Everyone's talking about it. I get it, probably ad nauseum. So we're going to do this episode. I'm sure similar things will be said, but we'll try to come at it maybe from some angles that some of the other shows didn't cover or didn't think about or didn't talk about. But that's the Fanatics acquisition of Topps. It happened. I thought it would. I didn't think it would happen this fast, but here we are, and it's a done deal. And we're going to talk about all the ramifications of that, some speculation, what we might see, what we might not see. But before we get to that, let's hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Breaks. And right after that, we'll talk about the acquisition.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Hi guys, it is Max from the Sports Card Shop, and we are back at it again with another weekly releases and another special deal at the end. Stay tuned for that one because it is a good one. So, to start off the week on January 12th, 2022, Happy New Year's, we have 2021 Historic Autographs, Famous Americans Hobby, 2021 Historic Autographs, Famous Americans Blaster, 2021 Historic Autographs, Famous Americans Factory Set, 2021 Historic Autographs, Famous Americans Vending, 2021 Panini Mosaic Football Hobby, 2021 Super Break Super Slabs Multi-Sport Buyback Edition Series 2, 2020-21 Upper Deck Marvel Annual Trading Cards, and on the 14th we have 2021-22 Panini Domino's Basketball, really good one there, 2021-22 Panini Prizm Premier League Soccer, and 2021 Panini National Treasures Racing. Now that is a good way to end this week. And for our weekly deal, we have 2021-22 NBA Hoops Hobby Boxes for $189. To get this deal, you have to message SCN Hoops to @_sportscardshop on Instagram. Now, go get your boxes and have a great New Year's.
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, other than the big story, the Fanatics acquisition of Topps, it actually was a pretty quiet news week. But I do want to add some more to the Topps Fanatics that I don't talk about in the main topic of Hobby Quick Hits here today. Let me get to that in a second. Let's talk about the other news story, smaller in scale when compared to the Fanatics and Tops news, but the Mint Collective, a show put on in collaboration with eBay and Collectible, scheduled for the end of January, has been postponed, scrapped for now, and tentatively rescheduled for March. A lot of big names were going to be in attendance for it, or at least committed to or confirmed their attendance at that event, but now moved. Reason cited is the recent COVID and Omicron outbreaks. The only thing I'll say to that is I have not seen any other shows follow suit, and many other shows are going on in Vegas, including concerts and conventions. So read into that what you will. I don't know how ticket sales were going. It was a hefty price tag to attend and hear all the speaking seminars and that sort of stuff. And, so I don't know. But tentatively rescheduled for March. So put it on your calendars. All right, let's go into the Tops Fanatics, the Fanatics acquisition. I'm going to talk about it, obviously, in the main bulk of the show. I want to add a couple of things that I didn't comment there. Remember, it's an acquisition. It's not a merger. These are not, Burger King and McDonald's just kind of coming together to make, McKing. This is an acquisition. Fanatics now owns Tops. It allows them to produce the cards sooner than 2026 with the assistance of top staff, which are now Fanatic staff. There's 350 employees, and Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin has stated it is their intent to keep all 350 Tops employees on staff. So reportedly, no one has to lose their job. I venture a guess some of those Tops folks may leave and to do other things or to field other offers, as what usually happens. So maybe the job loss and the human element over it won't be tremendous. Fanatics is going to get control of 10 physical Top sites in various countries, including here, obviously, in the U.S. And Tops products are sold in 100 different countries. And the acquisition includes the physical brands and the digital brands. Okay, this does not include the candy division. This is just the sports and sports cards, physical and digital divisions. Okay, and the 10 locations around the world in the United States. And again, they're both licensed. We're going to be full-fledged in 2026. That has now streamlined it to today. Well, like many of you, January 3rd, Monday, I found out that Fanatics had acquired Tops, with the official announcement to come on Tuesday the 4th. But, I immediately, like I do when a lot of hobby news breaks, I immediately went to social media, the internet, and read all the details that were sort of leaked a day ahead of when they wanted to make the announcement. And, I saw some content creators, some social media accounts sort of misrepresent the news of this acquisition. What do I mean by that? Well, immediately everyone, like myself included, figured, well, Tops is going to live on. Fanatics bought them. But the way they worded it, Tops wins or Tops survives. And, we got to keep in mind that Fanatics acquired Tops. Tops didn't acquire Fanatics. This is not a merger. This is an acquisition. This isn't two companies coming together with no, money exchanging hands to be one bigger company. This was Fanatics, one company buying the other one out, basically. And for $500 million, which obviously is a lot of money, but when you really look at it, is really a great deal for Fanatics. And when you look at where Topps was, about to go public, on their SPAC from Mudrick Capital was about to go public. I own some. I know all this. What they were valuated at. One day before that was supposed to happen, when the news broke that Fanatics had acquired, that baseball licensing from the Players Union and Major League Baseball itself, kind of pulled the rug out from under Topps in more ways than one. The SPAC basically died. They didn't go public. And so that $500 million is a lot less of a valuation than what they could have potentially been had they went public and had they not lost the license. So, while to most of us, $500 million is a lot of money, and it is, Fanatics, to me, in my opinion, got Topps on the cheap. And, again, it's not a merger. We need to say this right. It's an acquisition. It's, Topps was sort of against the wall. And, Fanatics didn't have to buy them. They could have just let them sort of die a slow death, if you will. I think it was smart of Fanatics. I think there's a lot of smart people there who, in their meetings and whatnot, said, hey, this is probably the direction we should go. It's smart on Topps' behalf, Michael Eisner took a loss. I don't know how. I'm assuming he's very involved in this transaction as well. And he made the best decision he could, barring less leverage than he ever had previous. But again, not a merger. This is a acquisition. Fanatics owns Topps. But that's, I'm making it sound like it's bad. I don't mean it that way. I just mean it that, we have to, get the terminology right, because the terminology is going to be a big factor in what happens here. And the first thing a lot of people thought, and it was right there pretty quickly in my mind too, right, is, hey, we're going to get Topps Chrome basketball. We're going to get Topps Chrome football, the return. It's probably a safe assumption, but again, remember, Fanatics is, Topps is now the marionette, right? The puppet on the strings. Who's holding that, that piece, those two pieces of wood, those cross pieces of wood with the strings coming off them? That's Fanatics. So they'll determine, what products, what they want to call them. Will there be a Fanatics logo? Will it be Topps Fanatics? Will it be Fanatics Topps? Will it just be Topps? All those decisions are in their hands as the owner of the IP. And we got to realize that. So, and I hear a lot of Topps Chrome talk, but let's talk about some of the other brands that may be making a return. And as great as Topps Chrome is, and I can attest to that, one of my favorites, there's some other brands that may make a return that maybe we weren't the first ones to think about. Remember Bowman football, Bowman basketball? I know it's been a little bit, but those might be coming back around again. Let's talk about, stuff Topps did when they just had the baseball license that were great products that now can translate over to other sports, right? We're all familiar with the Sapphire brand from Topps, and we got that in baseball products. But might you see a basketball NBA Sapphire? What about a football NFL Sapphire? And so those are also a possibility. Topps Heritage fans, I'm not included in that group, not one of my favorite brands. something I don't typically open up a lot of, being a non-set builder. But there's a lot of people who love Topps Heritage and were fearful that Topps Heritage was going away unless this deal went down. Well, Topps Heritage may live on. So may Archives. We'll see what else may be brought back. A lot of other questions about the products, come to the forefront. Are we going to still see card art from the new group, right? Are we going to see Topps Now still? Are we going to see something new? I'm sure we're going to see something new with Fanatics pulling the strings. But all these questions now arise quicker. Why quicker? Because without the purchase of Topps, Fanatics would have had to wait around a couple years, but until those licenses expired. But since they now own Topps, those decisions that gets actually moved up because they're on Topps' licensing, and when Topps licensing runs out, it's theirs anyway. So everything's been ramped up, which is why I think Topps was the first company to get bought out by Fanatics, because I think they're the biggest producer. They have that printing contract, I believe, Carter Mundy, and I think that was something, a pro that Fanatics wanted to acquire. They had never really produced cards on their own accord, and now they can use that Topps experience to get going sooner, which I'm sure they were chomping at the bit, right? You're a company and you just won the baseball, football, and basketball licenses. You want to wait 2 years? I mean, it's cool. You can be patient, gives you time to get everything in order, but you just won a thing you're looking forward to doing, right? You want to do it as soon as you can rather than wait 2 years. And so I think the 2022 year, because it takes time to design stuff, is going to be sort of more of Topps's fingerprint on it. I think 2023 is going to be the first year we really see Fanatics pulling the string and calling the shots on products, design, distribution, and those sort of things. But we might see some of that at the end of this year, where Fanatics really starts to put in play what they want to do and their approach and their take on how they're going to handle the licensing and the cards and everything that comes along with it. I mentioned card art. Is that something, do we want to see continue? Do we want Fanatics to pick that ball up and continue running with it? I think we're seeing, it's still going on, some card art fatigue, right? Project 70 definitely had some bumps in the road. There were some delays. At one point, they pretty much said they're done with it. Now it's picked up, and a lot of people frustrated with it. I'd like to see card art in some form or fashion. I think a lot of the work is beautiful, and I own some of it, not all of it. But I'd like to see Fanatics sort of, rather than beat the dead horse, as Topps sometimes does with different things, is maybe do something different where it's still, available, but maybe just not monotonous and droning and where it sort of runs its course and we don't enjoy it maybe in the way we should. How about card art? I know people don't like redemption cards, right? Well, how about cards in the products that are good for a numbered card art card, whether it's encased in the magtites or in a different sort of way, where if you open a product, you get a card art version from that product done by maybe some of the artists that were involved in these projects, or maybe new ones. I think that would be cool to see and continue card art. But 2, 3, 4 cards a week, $20 a piece. I'm not opposed to that, but I don't think we need that every year like we've seen the last couple years. When I had some of the artists on from Project 2020, my take on it was, in talking to them, I don't know if they agreed necessarily, but I almost would love to see like kind of a Topps Project 2020 every 4 years, every 2 years, not necessarily every year, every 2 or 4 years, almost like the Olympics, right? Where you sort of look forward to it in a few years down the line, knowing it's coming. But if it's every year, you get sort of that card art fatigue. So hopefully they do some decisions with card art to, sort of breathe some new life into it in some way, whether that's redemptions, whether that's my idea of not doing them every year so you get sort of a break from it, if you will. That would be something that they'll have to make those decisions. People, let's talk about people, right? The hobby is the people. Well, the people that work at these companies, Fanatics and Topps, are the ones that are going to be making some of these important decisions. And when a company buys another company, I hate to say it, someone who had lost their job earlier this year, generally people are going to lose their employment. Not necessarily everybody. Some people will transition over to the new company, in this case being Fanatics. So some of the Topps people will become Fanatics employees, if you will. But I don't think it's possible where all of them will. We've seen Tracy Hackler move on from Panini. I think other dominoes will fall from both of those companies. So, some people at Topps, unfortunately, will be out of both companies and looking for new employment. Some people from Topps will come over and work for Fanatics, and that's for Fanatics folks to determine, who's viable and how they want to use them. But for those that don't make the transition, I'm hoping the best for those, unnamed right now, but maybe we'll know more as things kind of fall into place for these two companies. So I think the obvious next question, now that Topps domino has fallen, is who else will Fanatics buy? Is this it? Will they sort of let Panini die a slow death? Are they not interested in Panini? Could they still try to buy an Upper Deck? I know Upper Deck has stated they're not for sale, right? But money has a way of talking, as we all know, in all different sorts of businesses and industries. And so I would never say never. Will they try to buy a smaller boutique company? Leaf fits that bill. Onyx, Wildcard, Parkside. I don't know. All of them, more than one, So all these things, I think Topps is the first domino to fall. I don't think it's going to be the only one. I don't know who's next, or if there will be a next for sure. But I think that Fanatics has a plan. I think Topps was phase 1. What phase 2 is and all that stuff, I don't know. A question I'm sort of getting asked every so often right now since the acquisition is, should we expect overproduction of products as early as 2023 or even as early as this year? I don't know how to answer that question other than to say, I hope not. But I also will say this, Fanatics paid a lot of money for those licensing, rumored to be 10 times whatever anything Topps has ever paid. The players now have a seat at that equity table, so they're going to be with their hand out. Fanatics, even though it was probably a bargain price, still paid $500 to acquire, or $500 million to acquire Topps. And so there's a lot of money going out of Fanatics to make these deals and acquisitions and licensing happen. And so, they're in business to make money. And so, how do you make money? You got to sell and move product. So I'm a little leery that we're going to see, if you want to use the word overproduction, mass production, we're going to see plenty of cards, I believe. I don't know, I don't know the model for how many products they want to release. I think the average per sport, and I could be off a little bit, was between 35 and 45 a year for each sport. Will that stay the same, or will that rise? We'll get lower. I don't know. That's also part of probably the contract with the leagues, the sport leagues, and the Players Association. And those terms that I'm not aware of being released. And so there's some number in there with how many products a company can make of that sport. I doubt the Players Association or the leagues gave Fanatics a blank check to produce as many sets as they want. So there's a number we just don't. I don't know of it. I don't know if anyone else outside the respective parties know what it is. So as far as overproduction, I hope not, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't some element of overproduction. Let's talk about some of the good things about the acquisition here as we come down the home stretch. Things are going to fall into place quicker. I know people were, some people were complaining like, hey, we're not even going to see cards for 2 or 3 years, and every week we're talking about Fanatics. Well, now we're going to get something of substance sooner. So the talking's still going to be there, much like this show right now. We're going to be talking about Fanatics and acquisitions, and now Topps being acquired. That the conversation and the content won't go away, but we'll have some substance to actually see and hold and have in our hands a lot sooner than we originally had anticipated. So that will be a good thing. Another good thing potentially is, I've heard other people say, Topps got lazy. Topps was unimaginative. Topps didn't care. They were just, in it for the money. I've heard other people say Topps doesn't even have card people making card decisions. It's just corporate folks. Well, now you're going to get some fresh perspective. You're going to get some fresh eyes on the situation. And so for those people that believe all those things I just said, you're going to get some new people making newer decisions and looking at things differently. And so that's interesting. That makes me cautiously optimistic. It doesn't mean it will be automatically better. It just means there'll be some different people in positions of power to be the ones kind of pushing the buttons and making the decision that need to be made on what we get or what we see and how it's going to be handled. I think it'll be maybe good for design. I think now I'm speaking for me personally, I thought the last, 5-10 years, some of the designs were meh, in some cases, many of the Montgomery 582 designs were better than the flagship designs. And that's, I remember thinking to myself, are there two different groups? And there probably are, but maybe they should reverse them because some of the designs on the 582, and I know some of them were based on sets, maybe test sets or sets from years ago, but you know, I thought many of those were well done and well designed. Where when I saw the product, where I said, "Man, this would have been a great design for the flagship this year." And so, why are there just two different units of staff working on different things? And I'm sure there was, or some component to that. So now we're going to get some new, for those that felt that way or thought that way, we're going to get maybe some new people. Now, again, remember, not everyone's going to be new. They acquire Topps. Some of that Topps talent is going to have Fanatics name badges. Not that they wear name badge, but they're going to be working for Fanatics, probably in most likely a same or similar capacity. So, but there will also be new people, calling the shots as well. So we'll get some fresh ideas, some fresh thoughts, some fresh perspective, and that makes me optimistic for the future. But again, folks, just kind of to wrap this all up, this is not going to be a perfect game that Fanatics is going to be able to throw. They're going to have some bumps in the road. They're going to do some stuff that I myself and maybe you say, hey, what are you doing? Or that's terrible. Or what are they thinking there? And when that happens, the first time that happens in your mind, let's not be too quick to throw, the baby out with the bathwater, right? They're just getting into this space. We've got to give them, to me, you got to give them 3-4 years, 5 years before you make any sort of real assessment on them. And I know someone's hearing that and probably saying, that long, John, before we can start really judging them? Yeah. I mean, we can judge individual decisions, but before we just say they're terrible or they're awesome, either way, right? We've got to give it, we've got to give them time to develop their product, right? I'll use maybe it's not the greatest analogy, but I'll use it, right? A college coach, right, that gets hired at a university, whatever sport, right? We'll use football, new football coach, new basketball coach, right? When they first come in, I know we got the transfer portal now, but when they first come in, those are not their guys that they recruited to that school. They might have recruited them if they're coming from another school, but, you got to give them time to sort of, in this analogy, get their own folks in there, recruit their own guys, and win or lose with those guys, right? Be successful or unsuccessful with their own guys. So I think the same applies here. We got to give Fanatics, whether you say 2 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, to see how they're going to do what they're going to do, what decisions they're going to make on the distribution level, what decisions are they going to make on what they release, what decisions are they going to make on designs, what decisions are they going to make on price point to what we were accustomed to, what decision are we going to see product at Walmart and Target, or is that going to be eliminated? Are you going to be able to buy right from Fanatics and have it shipped to your door? How are they going to handle? I think I know how they're going to handle distribution with distributors. How are they going to handle LCSs, right? Are they going to try to sort of leverage them out, or are they going to partner up with them? I tend to believe they are going to try to extend an olive branch and work with the card stores of the world. But all this, is going to be up to them, remains to be seen. And so we've got to take all those elements and we've got to give them more than 1 or 2 years. We've got to give them, to me, a minimum of 3 years before we really write the book on Fanatics, good or bad, right? We can kind of critique individual decisions, but before we really, go to the deliberation room and deliberate and come out with a verdict to whether they're good or bad, I think we got to give them at least a bare minimum 3 years, and that's my opinion there. So let me know what you think. Love the feedback from you listening out there. What you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and curious to see how your opinion may differ from mine. And it's that's all they are. No one's right or no one's wrong. I just kind of give my opinions on this show. All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/ Twitter, we are at sportscardnat1, so it's sportscard NATI1. Instagram at sportscardnationpodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. That will do it for episode 95 of Hobby Quick Hits. For those of you like me that were hoping Topps would live on, I think we got our wish with this news. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But things are happening faster with this Sooner acquisition. We'll see if this is just the first domino to fall, and will there be additional dominoes. But, I'll close with this. The next 2 to 5 years for sure will be crucial into what the hobby's going to be probably for the next 10 to 20, good or bad. And so it's going to be very important for Fanatics and their partners, whether that be Topps or anyone else, to really try to get this right. No one's perfect. This isn't going to be a perfect game like a pitcher throwing at, but how they handle this decision making is really going to set the tone for the hobby. You say, well, John, how's it going to set the tone for the hobby? Why? Because they hold 3 of the 4 major sports license. It's not that hard to figure out what that company does is either going to move the hobby forward or, tread water, or worse yet, backwards. So, it's going to be interesting to say the least. I'm going to be doing cards regardless, but as someone who cares about the hobby, as someone that does content creation, it is going to be crucial what occurs here. So I'll be watching with definite interest, obviously, and we'll see and hope for the best. I don't root against people, and we'll see how this goes. With that being said, have a great week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.